What is up? This is Jack McNeil on We Talk 1, 2, 3 here. Hope you guys are having a great day. Now, insane in baseball today and yesterday, of course, as the playoffs are winding down in the NL and AL divisional series. It started with an error by Scott Rowland in the 10th inning of Game 3. Now, remember, this is a game that Cincinnati probably should have won. They were tied. Then he gives up the lead, and they eventually lose through 10 innings. Jonathan Broxton pitching, Scott Rowland fumbling this grounder, and almost still got him out. But it was an error, and he blamed himself for the loss in Game 3, a critical loss. It turned out to shift the momentum in Game 4 as Hunter Pence fired up his teammates, gave some inspirational speeches. Game 4, they brought their A game. Game 4 was a huge game for the Giants as it started off with Zito pitching and quickly went to Lincecum, who did a fantastic job in relief for the Giants, won a few innings without allowing a hit even. So just fantastic job by Lincecum. Again, this is the Reds. They were all happy this year winning the Central. They won 97 games, 599 winning percentage. Them and the Nationals kind of best records in the National League. They were the best team, in my opinion, in the National League. And remember, when they went to the playoffs in 2010, they had that magical year. They're very young. They weren't used to going to the playoffs. They got swept by the Phillies, the experienced World Series caliber team. This year, they were the big dog. They were the team that should have beat the Giants, a team that barely got in, that played fantastic the last 2 months, that beat out a team like the Dodgers who spent tons of money during the trade deadline. A team that went out and got Marco Scutaro and Hunter Pence, who provided fantastic offense for them. A team that lost Melky Cabrera, a team that had to deal with a struggling Tim Lincecum for like half the year, a team that dealt with injuries all over the place, mainly to guys like Brian Wilson and Sergio Romo taking over the closing spot. And this team unseats the Reds in the first round after being down 2-0. It's absolutely insane. I want to congratulate the San Francisco Giants and everyone involved, and I am sorry to the Reds fans. You've had to deal with another heartbreaking loss. But as a huge Cardinal fan, I was definitely rooting on for the Giants in this series. Not only would I rather see the Cardinals play the Giants, and I think it would be a better matchup for us, I just personally bias against the Reds. I mean, I have nothing really against them as a team. And, honestly, I did. If the Cardinals were not going to get in, I kind of wanted to see them make it to the World Series because they hadn't won a World Series since 1990. And it was such a magical year, and they really have struggled for most of the first decade, really, of the 2000s. And, they had a really good year this year. They're one of the best teams in baseball, if not the best, especially in the National League. And, of course, this is an old picture of the Giants, but the Giants could make the World Series. And just a really disappointing year for the Reds to get this far and to lose it. But on the other side of it, I don't think they necessarily lost the series. As one of the TV announcers said, they didn't lose the series. The Giants won, and they did. The Giants were down 2-0. Now, let's go back to that Game 4. You got Lincecum pitching great. You got big hits by Pablo Sandoval, Marco Scutaro. You got guys coming through everywhere. A lot of young guys coming through for the Giants. And then in Game 5, they force a Game 5. So they win 2 games in a row. That's big enough. That's what Oakland did with the Tigers. So not only you see the Giants extend it to Game 5, you see Oakland later that night hit walk-off win. Absolutely insane. You also see the Yankees get a walk-off win. Game 4 of that is tonight. Game 4 of the Cardinals is right now. I'm surprised I'm not literally watching it right now. You should be very lucky that I'm making this video right now. I'm going to be tuned in for the next few hours, and hopefully the Cardinals can get this, and it would be a Cardinals-Giants matchup. But the Giants came back from down 2-0. It's a magical. They did torture their fans late in the game in Game 5, but it got done. This series will go down in history for so many reasons. Number 1, the Reds were 97-win team. Number 2, no one expected them to get out in the first round, and even if they did, you would expect it to be, the Giants won the first game or the Reds won the first game. But no, they lost the first 2 games. They're the first team in history in the National League to lose the first 2 games in a divisional series and come back. They have made history here. And honestly, after the Reds won the first 2 games, I thought it would be a Cardinals-Reds, hopefully a Cardinals-Reds NLCS, and I thought the Reds would be extremely hard to beat. I could easily see a Reds-Tigers World Series. You never know. But no, this is all coming to an end, and I am just absolutely shocked as a baseball fan, as someone who's rooting for the Giants in this series. I was really happy to see it. I really was. I really don't want to sound biased, but I was. And I'm sorry if you're Reds fans. You're probably going to dislike the video now because of that. But hey, you guys had a fantastic year. I have a good friend who's a Red fan who we actually made a video together, talked about mid-season. And honestly, I didn't expect the Reds to do this well this year. I really didn't. I thought they would be extremely tough to beat in the Central after making those moves for Latos and Sean Marshall, and they really did get a fantastic team together, and they had all their guys in their prime. Jay Bruce, just raw talent, raw power. They have such a great lineup. Ryan Ludwig came through huge for this team this year. The relief pitching was fantastic, but somehow the Giants did win Game 3, 4, and 5 on an error in fantastic offense and a lot of team spirit and a lot of energy, and they came through huge in Game 5. So the Giants winning marks a historical series as they win the NLDS, the first divisional series to get over with. Obviously, they started at noon, so it was going to be either way. Game 5, a very exciting game. I got to see the last few innings, and I really was amazed. The Reds did start to make a comeback there. It did scare me a little bit because I really wanted to see the Giants finish off this just magical NLDS performance, but it's going to be very hard if the Cardinals get in to beat the Giants after coming off this much momentum. They do remind me of the series last year, the Philly series. No one expected the Cardinals to win. Obviously, the Giants sweeping 3. And the fact that it was in Cincinnati, I think, was a huge factor, too. I mean, the fact that the Giants beat them at their home park and the Reds beat them at their home park, I mean, that just usually doesn't happen. We haven't seen much of this whole home field advantage really help either team, other than if they're on the road, they've been winning a lot. So a magical year for the Giants, a magical comeback, and really I'm still a little shocked to say that they did win this divisional series after the Reds were up 2-0. But it wasn't like the Reds played perfect and really should have won the series. I mean, yeah, you can make an argument that they should have won the series, they deserve to win the series, but it isn't anything about that in the playoffs. It's who plays better, who executes. Sure, the Giants didn't execute the first 2 games, but they sure did the last 3. And the Reds had base running mistakes by Brandon Phillips. They had an error by Zach Kozar today. Buster Posey had a grand slam. That is something that's just not execution. This is a home team that has to win in a must-win game. And they can't execute. They allow a grand slam. They allow an error. They allow walks. It all comes back to hurt them. Scott Rowland's error, another big thing to remember. And this was the biggest thing. They had a double steal with Ryan Hannigan up. 0 outs, first and second. Jay Bruce tries to steal third. Strikeout, throw out, they don't score. That is something that will haunt you. This will haunt the players for the rest of their lives, especially with so much momentum and so much expectations on this team. To not get to the World Series is really disappointing for them. Now, on the other hand, Matt Cain pitched a great game today. Matt Latos pitched a great first few innings. They kept him scoreless, and it was going to be a pitcher's duel today, and I do want to congratulate everyone involved. Cincinnati Reds players, you guys had a great season, no doubt. And if there's fans that you might be disappointed because I keep talking about the Cardinals because the game is on right now and the Giants could be facing them, I'm sorry. I'm not, I'm sorry for showing my bias in this video, especially because this does really involve potentially the Cardinals. But the Reds had a fantastic year. You can't take away from a 97-win team. You can't take away from a division title. But it's going to go down in history after being up 2-0 and losing, because I think that if they won this series, the Reds, if they would have won in Game 3, they would have had a very good chance to go to the World Series, and that's something that they're just going to have to live with the rest of their life. They're going to have to cope with that and justify what happened. And obviously with Johnny Cueto being hurt, their ace who won 19 games this year, Joey Votto a little shaken up throughout the series, it was going to be tough for them to do. But again, this was, one of the best teams in the National League. They had great pitching performances from so many different guys, guys that threw no-hitters during the regular season. Homer Bailey had great pitching performance. So I was a little surprised to see them end up losing. But the Giants have a great team moving forward. I want to congratulate them. Thank you for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed.